Dear Boomers, here's my mascot. I got him in a good position. Oh, we're about to take a walk in the park, and my little guy is being very, very patient. But today I have been thinking about all the changes that the Boomers have seen over our lifetimes. When I was a kid, we were, it was a very slowed down atmosphere. The whole neighborhood had a lot of fun, a lot of community together, a lot of people hanging out, talking about life in general on the front porch, sitting on the porch for hours, hanging out, watching the people go by. That was really fun. And then, I must say, what else I remember is that when I was younger, we didn't have a television, but then we quickly got a TV, probably before anybody else, because that was the way my mom was. And my father and my mother were pretty modern people, but they were nothing. I think that they both had a little bit of a hard time with acclimating to life as it became more and more modern. My father did learn some computer skills. My brother, who passed away at almost 80, was very good on the computer. But he was a writer, so he used the computer to write many plays and different stories, and he was a very creative person. In fact, he did a YouTube video, I think it was called When I Turned 77. And it was very creative video about, in fact, I might draw it over to my channel, it was a poem he wrote that was absolutely fantastic. And it was so creative. So yeah, I'll bring that over to my YouTube channel. Another thing I remember was just things weren't so complicated. The crime wasn't, nobody was really afraid to go out and hang out in the neighborhood or take walks or to go downtown. Nobody was afraid of those things. It's very interesting how that works. What is all this fear about even now? I have no fear about going into downtown Lancaster, Pennsylvania, but things have changed there too. And I guess, there's crime, but you have to carry yourself in certain ways, especially if you carry yourself in a fearless way. I think you have a better chance to survive any kind of hardship that could happen to you or could befall you. Another thing I remember was basic people being more cordial to one another, being friendlier to one another. And my parents were very, very active in the civil rights movement and the anti-Vietnam movement. So we had a lot of community with very wonderfully active, socially active people. We loved them. We socialized with them. In fact, it took me up until I was probably 16 or 17 to realize that Lancaster, Pennsylvania, at the time, was a Republican area. And to the point where my mother was targeted as being a communist just because she was a Democrat and a liberal Democrat. I think that's so weird. Now that's the Republican talking point, is that we as Democrats are communists or something. So this whole rhetoric has come back, and I don't appreciate it because it brings back bad memories. When I was about 8 years of age, the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there was a guy, a funeral director, with a hearse out in the street saying he had come to pick up the body of Kitty Loving Schenk, who was my mother. Now, I was used to this kind of thing. I was used to the controversy that my parents stirred up, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that they were